For most business owners and salespeople, one of the most high value things you can do is build your new business pipeline. That's identifying and starting conversations with the right people and being able to do that over and over and over again. To do that, you need a growth system, a set of frameworks and tactics that you can apply over and over and over again and get consistent results. Over the years, I've used LinkedIn to drive inbound through thought leadership content. I've used it for outbound prospecting, and I've trained sales teams at $30 million to $100 million a year organizations how to do social selling through LinkedIn. I'm going to teach you the 3 activities that if you do them consistently, you will generate conversations with the people you need to know and build long-lasting business relationships with them. The key to make this approach work is to not focus on your products and services first, but to focus on your customers. If you focus on your ideal customers, what's important to them, their pain points, their problems, and the things that they want to talk about, and you highlight those things and you curate content for them, you're able to reach out through cold outreach and get them to have conversations with you. And today I'm going to break down those 3 activities. The first activity you need to do consistently to sell through social is to create content. Now, before I lose all my salespeople who are going to say, I am a salesperson, not a marketer, hold your horses. I'm going to show you why this is a valuable activity for you to be doing as a salesperson to meet this quarter's quota. So hang in there. First activity, create content. The second activity you need to be doing consistently to sell through social is engaging in conversations that are already happening. And the third thing you need to do consistently is to start one-on-one conversations. We're going to take a high-level look at each one of these activities. Before we go any further, I'm going to clarify what I mean by the word consistently. When I say you need to be doing these 3 activities consistently, understand this. The more consistently and the more regularly you do these 3 activities, the faster you're going to generate new pipeline, meaning new future opportunities, the faster you're going to build relationships with referral partners, and so the faster you're going to close new business. Now, I recommend doing these 3 activities to some degree every single week. If you need to generate new pipeline immediately, you probably want to ramp up how much content you're creating, how many conversations you're engaging in, and how many conversations you initiate. Now, we're going to dive a little bit deeper, but from a high level, I recommend that you create at least 1 piece of content every week. I recommend that you comment on or engage in 3 to 5 conversations at a minimum every week, and that you initiate at least 1 or 2 conversations every single week. Once you get the ball rolling, that means spending 1.5 to 2 hours minimum every week on these business growth activities. If you miss a week or 2 here and there, it's not going to be the end of the world. But if you're trying to create 1 piece of content a month and comment on a post on LinkedIn once a month, you're probably not going to get the traction that you need. So find a weekly cadence that works for you, something that you can maintain every single week, and go from there. Now, the first activity that you need to do consistently is create content. There are 3 types of content you need to create to drive new business through LinkedIn. The first type of content you need to create is content you create with the people you want to know. The second type of content you need to create is you need to create content for your ideal customers. And the final type of content that you absolutely need to create is content that makes it easier to buy from you. If you want to dive deeper on those 3 types of content, check out the How to Sell Without Selling Your Soul webinar, where I really dive deep into each of those 3 types of content. But from a high level, creating content with people you want to buy is the most effective way to initiate a new conversation with somebody that you want to know. In order to do that, you need to make a list of people that if you knew them, if you had a relationship with that person, it would grow your business. That could be ideal customers, industry influencers. It could be somebody who runs a center of influence. So think of an industry group or association. Or you can also create content with people who you already know, but you want to build deeper relationships with them. The second kind of content that you need to create is content that you create for your ideal customers. So what is it that your ideal customers do? What are their pain points and problems? What is it that they need to understand to do their job more effectively? In order to create this content, you have to actually understand the job that your ideal customer is doing. So the more that you create content with your ideal customers, the more that you're going to start to understand the things that are important to them. So you're using that first type of content to really start to get to know what it is that's important to your ideal customers. And so the content you create for your ideal customers, it's not necessarily something that you have expertise in, although you can talk about your expertise within this kind of content. But it's also, what is it that your customers are dealing with that they struggle with? Even if it's not something that you solve, can you help them understand that better? That could be regulations that are going on in the industry, could be industry research, trending topics in the industry. What is it that they need to know, and how can you get that in front of them? Now, a lot of times when people talk about creating content on LinkedIn, they focus primarily on thought leadership content. Now, thought leadership content can be extremely valuable in a long-term play, but if you're not used to creating content already, it can be very difficult to start out trying to come up with some idea that's going to be so interesting that your ideal customers follow you. If you have that kind of content already and you're good at creating it, you can lean into that. But I found that people who own businesses and salespeople typically don't know where to get started. And so it's a lot easier to start by curating content for your ideal customers. And so you can check out the videos that I've done on the screen share method, but it's the fastest way I've found to curate content for your ideal customers if you're not already used to creating content yourself. The basic idea is that you find a piece of information that your customers would benefit from. You do a screen recording where you talk through that article or industry research or regulation that's changing in the industry, and then you sum it up by telling your audience why they need to understand what's going on with this particular topic. The last kind of content you need to create is content that makes it easier to buy from you. Now, I'll caution you to stay away from this kind of content early on because you really need to understand your ideal customers first. You need to figure out who they are, what topics they're interested in, the pain points and problems that are keeping them from reaching their dreams, desires, goals, and then finally, what is the solution that you can provide that's so obvious to them that they crack open their wallets as soon as you tell them about your solution. If you haven't figured that out yet, you don't want to start with this type of content. But it is absolutely vital that ultimately you create content that makes it easier to buy. It could be landing pages, it could be sales decks, it could be social posts that describe your solution. If you only focus on creating content with the people you want to know, content for your ideal customers, you're going to find that you won't get a whole lot of inbound opportunities. So once you've really nailed these things down and you're starting to sell to the people that you've created content with and the relationships you've built through that content, then you can move into creating this content that makes it easier to buy. And that's going to help you get a lot more inbound opportunities coming to you. Now, with all this talk about content, you might be saying, well, how does this help me as an individual salesperson, or if I want to generate new business fast? This all sounds like a long-term activity. But the truth is that you are investing in short-term, mid-term, and long-term business growth when you do these three activities. I found that creating content with the people you want to know is actually the fastest way to create new business opportunities. It's on par, if not faster, than cold calling. So how fast can this process actually work? Well, I was able to land a brand new client in a new space within 6 weeks of launching this business using this method. I interviewed Bob, an industry influencer, on my show. After the show was done, Bob said, you need to meet Kim. Now, it took about 2 weeks to get the call with Kim on the books, but during that call, she got really excited about what I'm working on. The following week, she agreed to work with me, and then 2 weeks later, she paid the invoice and we started working together. So when I'm talking about creating content, I'm not talking about create content and in 6 months or 8 months or 9 months, you're going to get business. You will, because you're investing in content creation that will ultimately be driving inbound leads as well. But I'm telling you, who are those prospects you want to know? Make a list and you'll be surprised at how fast you're going to start generating new business with them by creating content. The second activity you need to do consistently to sell through social is to engage in conversations that are already happening. Now, my preferred method for this is using LinkedIn, but you could also take a similar approach on Reddit or Quora or an industry community where your prospects are active. You can also take this in person by engaging in conversations that are already happening at in-person events or associations or things like that. But here's the thing, if you want to nurture relationships consistently, you need to be top of mind and engaging in things that are going on in the industry. And also, if you want to invite high-level people to come on your show, if you've already been engaging in a conversation that they're a part of, it makes it a lot easier to ask them to come on your show. So as you engage in these conversations, you're nurturing relationships, but you're also looking for people to invite to your future show. I have a separate video on how you can use Sales Navigator to curate a list of people and engage with them specifically. But the main idea is this. You're looking for people who are active in your space that are talking about something that's going on in the industry that other people are interested in talking about, and you engage with them. So you read their article or you read their post and you write a comment that's meaningful. And what I mean by meaningful isn't, oh wow, nice post. But if it's a post about sales alignment and the importance of aligning your marketing, sales, and leadership team, then you need to leave a comment where you're adding value, where you're saying something that adds to the conversation and hopefully makes the person on the other end look good while also getting them to respond. That means you need to start developing knowledge about your customer's industry. Again, going back to the importance of creating content with people you want to know and reading articles and industry research so that you really can add something to the conversation. But when you add something to the conversation that gets that person to engage, that person is much more likely to come on a show. They're more likely to work with you. They're more likely to refer you to somebody else. And their peers are going to also see that comment. So they have people in their network that might also comment, and they're going to see your content, and that makes it easier for you to engage in a conversation with them. If you have a cadence where you're commenting on 3 to 5 posts a week, you're going to start building relationships with your ideal customers and industry influencers through LinkedIn. Once you get going, you're going to find that you probably want to be having those conversations more often. And the more that you have the conversations and the more consistently you're jumping in, the faster you're going to build relationships through LinkedIn. The third activity that you need to be doing consistently, and this one is key, is to initiate conversations with your ideal customers. I've seen people create content with the people they want to know and engage on the platform, engage in conversations that are already happening, but it never leads to new business. And I believe that this is why. They have the person on their show, but they're not looking to book a second call with that person. Or they are commenting on somebody's posts and they're hoping that that person reaches out to them. But you have to be proactive. Look for reasons to get people to join a one-on-one call with you. That could be asking somebody who's commented on one of your posts or that you've engaged in on their post to join you as a guest on a show. But then once they've been a guest, is there another way that you can have a second conversation with them? Was there something they talked about that warrants another call? Or asking the person who's joined you for a show if there's somebody else that they think you should talk with. But you need to take that proactive step of looking to start one-on-one conversations. I'll give you an example of how not to do this. I have somebody who's been engaging on my posts for months. He leaves comments. Honestly, I think he's using ChatGPT because they don't feel quite right, but let's just assume that he is actually writing the comments himself. He's left probably 50 comments on posts of mine, but he's never asked me to have a conversation with them. And at this point, I'm confused about why he's commenting on my stuff. I don't know that he's actually learning or engaging as a follower, so I think that he's ultimately trying to get me to have a conversation with him. So if that's the point, why wait this long? Just reach out to me and say, hey, Joe, I've really been enjoying your content. I'd love to grab a call with you. I would have said yes months ago, but I become less and less likely to say yes the longer that he's commenting without getting to the point. So if you're looking to engage people for new business, ultimately you have to be having one-on-one conversations with multiple people a week, and it takes you being proactive to ask for that conversation. Now, these are the 3 activities that I found are the most efficient and fastest way to grow your business and to grow your sales pipeline. I believe that if you focus on these 3 activities for the next 90 days and you create at least one piece of content every single week, you engage with 3 to 5 conversations that are already happening, and you initiate 1 to 2 conversations a week with the people you're interacting with, you will develop a strong short-term, medium-term, and long-term sales pipeline. The biggest reason I see people fail to build their pipeline through LinkedIn isn't because they don't know the right steps to take, but it's because they aren't doing the right things consistently. If you believe this process is going to work for you, or you've started doing it and you've started to see the results, but you're struggling to stay consistent, check out the Momentum Mastermind on sellthroughsocial.com. It's designed exactly for people in your shoes who want to build pipeline, who understand the importance of creating content with your ideal customers, engaging in conversations that are already happening, and starting one-on-one conversations, but you're struggling to do it consistently. The Momentum Mastermind was designed for you. So don't wait any longer and stop wasting your time on inefficient practices and start doing these 3 activities today. And if you do, definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear about how implementing these 3 activities consistently is going for you.